Yes. All right. Let's go back and look at all these mixed cranial nerves. So we have cranial nerve number 5, cranial nerve number 7, cranial nerve number 9, and cranial nerve number 10. To worry about. Lots of different colors here to work with. It's got a mix of motor and sensory and autonomic, and lots of different nuclei to mix in. So cranial nerve number 5 is your this is 5, 7, 9, and 10. Those are your 4 mixed cranial nerves. Okay, 5 and 7 are part of the pons, 9 and 10 are medulla. So cranial nerve number 5 is your trigeminal. Trigeminal, and anybody remember where the trigeminal originates from? It's right here it's in the pons. It's on the outside of the pons. So here's your great big old trigeminal cranial nerve number 5. Right there out of the pons. Okay, so, bless you. Cranial nerve number 5 has a bunch of functions. Okay, let's talk about the sensory. So start out with a blue, if you want, because this is all going to be, it's going to be considered general sensation. So most of the cranial nerve number 5 is going to be sensory. So let's say general sensation. Okay, it's general sensation of the face. So all sensory, light, touch, everything from the face, from the external ear, so anything external in your ear, it's going to be cranial nerve number 5. It's going to be, believe it or not, your cornea. So if you have a reflex that if you have your cornea touched, both eyes are going to close naturally. So that's cranial nerve number 5. Touching the cornea or the white of your eye, detected by cranial nerve number 5. It's also general sensation from your nose and mouth. So I'm going to say nasal and oral cavities. Again, that's just general sensation. Nothing more than just feeling touch there. Okay, so all blues, general sensation, and then just light touch, or the ability to feel touch on the anterior 2/3 of your tongue. Okay, general sensation for cranial nerve number 5. General sensation, so it's your face, your external ear, your nose and mouth cavities, anterior 2/3 of your tongue, and your cornea, the white of your eye. It's just going to be general. Think about STT information coming in, right? So there's actually a spinal column tract for the face. We'll talk about that as time goes on. But this is where that information is coming through cranial nerve number 5, general sensory. In addition to the general touch sensation, there's also traveling through cranial nerve number 5. So I'm going to use like a greenish color, not the same color as the PNS, but like an aqua. And this is going to be proprioception, information from muscles of mastication. So Muscles of mastication, so masseter temporalis, just your general muscles of mastication. And that's, again, proprioception information. So knowing how things are moving. Okay, in addition to having the general sensory, face, ear, cornea, nasal, oral cavities, anterior 2/3 of the tongue, just touch, just feeling it. Information for muscles of mastication. It's also going to have some motor functions. So I'm going to switch over to red. Okay, the motor function is going to be motor for muscles of mastication. So actually having those muscles work, muscles of mastication. And that's going to be your masseter, your temporalis, and your medial and lateral pterygoid, P-T-E-R-Y-G-O-I-D, medial lateral pterygoid muscles.
Can you spell that once again?
Yeah, sure. Pterygoid. So medial and lateral pterygoid. P-T-E-R-Y-G-O-I-D. You're welcome. So masseter, temporalis, medial lateral pterygoid are your muscles of mastication, your chewing muscles. Okay. So you also get proprioception information coming in through that cranial nerve number 5 from muscles of mastication, where your jaw is in three-dimensional space. And you also get a lot of general sensory. So cranial nerve number 5 is more sensory than motor. Has a little bit of a motor function, but mostly sensory. So general sensation from face, external ear, cornea, nasal, oral, and anterior 2/3 of the tongue. Derek?
What's the first muscle you got up there?
I don't know. Oh, masseter, M-A-S-S-E-T-E-R, I think is how you spell it. Okay, muscles of, so masseter, temporalis, and medial lateral pterygoid. Any other questions? Big functions for cranial nerve number 5. Okay, another big one is cranial nerve number 7. Whereas cranial nerve number 5 has mostly sensory information, cranial nerve number 7 is going to have more motor information than sensory. So cranial nerve number 7 is your facial nerve. Again, if I put my little midline here. Okay, put the facial nerve on this side. So most medial is going to be your abducens, cranial nerve number 6. So at the pontomedullary junction, most medial, cranial nerve 6. Just lateral to that is cranial nerve number 7. Okay, that's going to be your facial nerve. Okay, facial is here. The origin is going to be the pons. 5 and 7 both come from the pons. Bless you. And like I said, you're going to have a lot of motor information here. So I'm going to start with red. This is going to be my motor function. Okay, motor function for cranial nerve number 7. In general, all the muscles of facial expression. Muscles of facial expression. Okay, so all your face muscles, anything you puff out your cheeks, close your eyes real tight. All that comes from all of your facial muscles. Cranial nerve number 7. In addition to that, it innervates a little muscle in your ear that's called your stapedius. Your stapedius muscle. I'm going to switch over to just a black color. And the black color is going to be representative of glands or glandular activity. Okay. In general, your facial nerve is going to innervate your lacrimal glands, L-A-C-R-I-M-A-L, lacrimal. So tear glands, lacrimal. Okay, your sublingual glands. Okay, and your submandibular salivary glands. So, cranial nerve number 7 has motor function, all the muscles of facial expression, stapedius, little muscle in your ear, also has some glandular innervation, lacrimal glands, so tear glands in your eye, and sublingual and submandibular salivary glands are also innervated by cranial nerve number 7. I'm going to switch over to the basic blue color to talk a little bit about the general sensory function for cranial nerve number 7. Also has a little bit of sensory. So general sensation where the cranial nerve, I like to think about it this way. So cranial nerve number 5 does the outer ear, external ear. 5 on the outside, and then moving in, the next in line is your ear canal. Cranial nerve number 7 is general sensation of your ear canal. So outer ear, 5, moving in, 7, ear canal. It's the next part of your ear. And then there's one more. Cranial nerve number 7 does lots of stuff, and this is going to be a purple color. If you want to follow along, try and keep it consistent. It's also going to be involved in taste. Specifically, taste that's from the anterior 2/3 of your tongue. So cranial nerve number 5 does general sensation on the anterior 2/3 of your tongue. Facial nerve does taste. Anterior 2/3 of your tongue. Yes?
Since your olfactory senses are very heavily linked with your sense of taste, does that mean that 7 also has to do with olfactory?
No, it does not. No. Good question, though. But no, it's olfactory that is responsible for a lot of your taste, but this is specific for. So if you were testing cranial nerve number 7, you'll see taking a cotton swab that's dipped in a solution of something that has a taste to it, and then touching it to your tongue directly. So you should taste it on your tongue, like sweet or salty, for example.
So,
Yes.
like with COVID, was that not working then?
So what wasn't working, what COVID did is it destroyed the precursor cells that made your olfactory nerves. So you have, what are they called? There's a word for the kinds of cells, they're precursor cells, stem cells. Yeah, the stem cells that actually reproduce, and then that's what COVID destroyed. So if that will come back over time, depending on how fast they're able to reproduce, or if the COVID is still present. So that was definitely olfactory. Cranial nerve number 7 is more specific to your tongue in general. So if you didn't have anything else available and you just took a solution of something sweet or salty and you touched the front of your tongue, that's cranial nerve number 7. Okay. And again, you can see that there's a lot of stuff that cranial nerve number 7 does. So depending on which nucleates it's using, which is why we're using different colors, going to depend on what. But a lot of times if you have cranial nerve number 7, the most obvious is loss of facial expression, muscles of facial expression. So cranial nerve number 7 innervates your face. You get like a facial droop. Any other questions? I thought the research about COVID was kind of cool, so I read about it. Okay, and that is all of facial nerve, cranial nerve number 7. Moving on down here to cranial nerve number 9. Cranial nerve number 9 is your glossopharyngeal. Glossopharyngeal. Sorry. Okay, cranial nerve number 9 is going to come out here. Its origin is in the medulla. We're just going to say medulla. In reality, there's the pre-olivary sulcus is here. This is actually called your post-olivary sulcus. There's another sulcus here. But if we just want to say medulla post-olivary. That would indicate that it's much more lateral than cranial nerve number 12. Cranial nerve number 9. That's your post-olivary sulcus. Olive's that big old bump here. In front of it, pre, behind it, post. It's very lateral. Okay, I'm going to talk about, so it's got a bunch of different functions for cranial nerve number 9. I'm going to switch over to the basic blue color for general sensation. General sensation, so that cranial nerve number 5 has general sensation for the anterior 2/3 of your tongue. Glossopharyngeal has general sensation for the posterior 1/3 of your tongue. I think having somebody gag you with a tongue depressor, that's glossopharyngeal. Also, general sensation of your naso and oral pharynx. So essentially where your nose and your mouth are coming together, the area is your pharynx. Naso and oral pharynx. One more for general sensation. Again, I like to think about the order. Cranial nerve number 5 is on the outer ear, external ear. Cranial nerve 7, ear canal. Cranial nerve number 9, middle ear. So general sensation of your middle, from your middle ear. Okay, so 5, outer ear canal, 7, 9, middle ear. Okay, moving on to, we go to red for motor. It innervates one little muscle. The motor function for cranial nerve number 9 is your stylopharyngeal muscle. Stylopharyngeal is the only motor. And we have another taste. So this is going to be purple. So cranial nerve number 7 does anterior 2/3 of the tongue. Cranial nerve number 9 is going to be taste for the posterior 1/3, the leftover part. Posterior 1/3 of the tongue. Taste from posterior 1/3 of the tongue is cranial nerve number 9. And in addition to that, it also has a glandular innervation. and that's in black. This is going to be your parotid gland. It innervates your parotid gland. And that's involved in saliva production. So cranial nerve number 7, sublingual, submandibular, cranial nerve number 9, parotid.
What is that muscle?
Stylopharyngeal, it's involved in swallowing, the function of swallowing. And we're going to see cranial nerve 9 and 10 kind of go together. 9 is the sensory for swallowing, and then 10 is going to be the more the motor. But cranial nerve 9 has one muscle that's involved in swallowing. It's the stylopharyngeal. When you test it, you'll see that in a minute. Any other questions? So lots of functions here. Cranial nerve number 9 is kind of a different one, right? You got some general sensory, you have some motor, you have some glandular, and some taste. Overall, looking at number 10, cranial nerve number 10, it's going to come here. It's a big one coming off the medulla. Here's your glossopharyngeal. And that's going to be your vagus nerve. Okay, the origin of the vagus nerve is going to be medulla. Again, just like we labeled here for the pharyngeal, glossopharyngeal, let's say medulla, and it's on the outside, so it's the post-olivary sulcus. That indicates it's much more lateral. Okay, so let's talk about some motor function. Like I said, glossopharyngeal has the general sensation for the posterior 1/3 of the tongue and the pharynx, middle ear. The motor function for vagus is going to be muscles of the pharynx and larynx. So here's the sensation. Now we're going to get motor function. So these are the muscles that are involved in swallowing, essentially swallowing muscles. Pharynx, larynx, and your soft palate. Essentially, if you think about cranial nerve number 10 being involved in the motor function for swallowing and cranial nerve number 9 being involved in the sensory function for swallowing, that's a good way to go. Okay, cranial nerve number 10, vagus also has some parasympathetic function. So we talked a little bit about cranial nerve number 3, oculomotor, having a parasympathetic function, and that I'm going to represent that with like a green color here. So that's going to be parasympathetic for heart, lungs, and GI tract. Okay, so talked about cranial nerve number 9 having some general sensory function. Overall, vagus nerve also has some general sensation, and it's the larynx and epiglottis. So general, it's going to blue, so general sensation. For the larynx and epiglottis. So cranial nerve number 9 is more of the pharynx, this is more of the larynx, glottis. Also, it has some taste. It's involved in some taste. So back to purple. That's going to be taste from the base of the tongue. And epiglottis. Okay, and then so that was in purple for taste, but I'm gonna stick with the purple color. We'll see when we get to the nuclei for this. It's also involved in visceral sensation. From heart, lungs, and GI tract. It's actually the physical feeling, visceral sensation from heart, lungs, and GI. The next ones are the hardest ones, especially those that have like little teeny tiny functions overall. Lots of information with cranial nerves. And as we go through, as we progress on through the semester, I'm going to start using the same color and hooking up all these different cranial nerves with the nuclei they use. Okay, we're going to talk about different nuclei. And the nuclei are nothing more than the lower motor neuron cell bodies for these nerves that are coming out. The nerves are the actual axons, but the nuclei of these nerves are the lower motor neuron cell bodies. Kind of like the alpha motor neuron or alpha in the ventral great horn is the lower motor neuron cell body. Well, we're going to talk about these nuclei. I'm going to stick with the colors. Questions? Got it? Okay, let's go ahead and